Right now, we are joined by a mixed martial arts legend, the former UFC bantamweight champ, the first woman inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame back in 2018. Also, she earned a bronze medal in women's judo at the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics to become the first woman to ever medal in that event. She is the author of the books My Fight, Your Fight, and Our Fight, a memoir. She's going to take on Gina Carano on May 16th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. It's streaming exclusively on Netflix. Not only that, she was one of my first ever guests on the Jim Rome on Showtime show back in the day. Of course, I'm talking about Ronda Rousey. Ronda, it is so awesome to see you. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm the OG Jim Rome show, first season. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go. You are the OG. One of my favorites ever. That was such a great interview. I'm so glad you remember that the way I remember that. You are OG for sure. But, Rhonda, for those who don't know, you did join me on my podcast a couple of years back, and we did talk about how much you were enjoying what you described as a slower life and how rewarding it was to be a mom. So why did you decide that it was right now to put the gloves back on?
Well, actually, I was 9 months pregnant when I came up with the idea. I saw an interview of Gina, and she had, I mean, her career had imploded after making some posts, and she was doing an interview and was obviously not doing well and had gained a lot of weight. And I've been in a similar situation where I needed something to pull me out of my own rut, and I I owe her so much. My whole lifestyle, my whole career, everything. She's the one that put it in my mind that I could be a fighter in MMA. And so I've always been kind of on the lookout for what I could do for her because I owe her so much. And I thought, like, man, she's literally like comes from wealth. There's nothing I can do for her, but I saw her in that spot and I was like, oh girl, I've sung that song, I've danced that dance. And what I needed to get out of that rut was something to reignite my passion again. And that's what WWE was able to do for me. And I always said I'd only come back to fight her. So I saw her in that spot and I'm like, you know what? She needs this. She needs this fight. And the more that I thought about it, I was like, damn, I really need this fight. It's the only thing that kind of like could ignite that fire in me again. I was once I had that thought, I was like, oh man, that would be so great. And I missed that feeling. And so I found a way to reach out to her, and it's been a long road to get here that I won't be able to cover in the few minutes that we have today. But yeah, we've been training for a whole year in secret, and finally we're able to let it out.
Wow. Ronda Rousey joining us. All right, so I'm not going to ask you to lay out the entire year and what it's been like, but what was her initial reaction? When you reached out to her and you said, hey, listen, I got an idea. What did she say? What was her reaction?
Well, I reached out to her through Dana. So I asked Dana if he'd be interested, and he was like, "Of course I'd be interested." And he like sent me this voice memo where I can tell when he's super excited about something because he's like stutters, and he was stuttering all over the voice memo. I'm like, "Oh, he's down." And so he reached out to Gina, and she said that that she'd already lost 25 pounds, and this was like this was like that walk back into the cage again is something that she's always wanted to do. And so that's when the talk started happening and got that interest from her. Well, literally, because I was like 9 months pregnant at the time, and she had a long way to go. So I was like, come on, girl, let's get back into it together. And yeah, I like literally it's been a saga, so I can't really lay it out now. But she was down from the first mention of it.
Ronda Rousey joining us. So as part of the saga, you mentioned Dana, and Dana always has loved you so much because you meant so much to the promotion. But you didn't end up with Dana. You ended up with Jake Paul. Is that part of the saga?
Yes, it very much is. Well, originally I wanted to do it for New Year's, and I went to him and I'm like, dude, you always say that I'm the best fighter you ever worked with. Like, reward me for it. Don't punish me for being easy to work with. Give me the best deal you ever gave anybody. And he goes, all right, I'm gonna go back and get you the best deal I ever had. So, he came back and he's like, literally brought me a deal where I would make more per pay-per-view buy than anybody in history. Like if I hit my historical numbers, which I know we would have been able to exceed, I would have like made as much as I did in my entire career. And I was like, hell yeah, Dana, high five, thanks. And but Gina needed more time, and it. it happened to go to the other side of when ESPN deal and the pay-per-view model would be ending and they would be going to streaming. And they're now a publicly traded company and it's how do I put it? They didn't want to set a precedent of giving me the guaranteed money that I deserve because once I raise that tide, it lifts all the boats. And they just made a $7.7 billion deal at Paramount, so it's in their best interest, actually, not to put on the best fights possible, but to spend as little as money as possible so they can keep it. Dana's now legally obligated to maximize shareholder value. It's not just about, proving the concept of fighting and putting on the best fights possible and proving that this is a sport to be taken seriously. I think now that now that they've sold the company, it's kind of out of Dana's hands, unfortunately, and now it's falling onto Hunter Campbell and UFC Corp, where they don't care about putting on the best fights possible. They care about putting on the most cost effective fights possible. So it no longer made sense for me to go over there because they didn't want to pay us the money that we deserve, because then for the rest of the time of the deal, they're going to have to pay everybody else more. And so then I decided to look elsewhere.
The business of the business. Ronda Rousey breaking it down. Ronda, what do you think it's going to be like for like the first time in a decade? So you're going to be on Netflix and it's going to stream to a global audience, man. Lots of eyeballs, lots and lots of eyeballs. What do you think it's going to be like walking into the cage for the first time in 10 years? Do you have any idea how you'll feel?
You know what? I think it's going to be an entirely different feeling. And this whole camp has just been about like healing and joy and finding my joy in the sport again. And I think before it's always been like such a high anxiety, moment. And of course, I'm going to be, as focused as ever to go out there and kill somebody. But I think there's going to be a lot more nostalgia and appreciation of the moment than I've ever had before.
Rhonda, when you talk about healing, I'm assuming you're talking about healing your soul, but then there's also the part about neurological issues, right? You and I have talked about that. I mean, you've been open about this. You've talked about this. Because the fight is officially sanctioned and not an exhibition, both of you have to go through extensive testing from the California Athletic Commission, including neurological exams. Are you concerned that the concussions you experienced earlier in your career could in any way put this fight in doubt or in jeopardy?
No, actually. When I first approached Dana, he was like, "Well, first of all, I want to make sure that you're okay." And he sent me to the Cleveland Clinic where they have like a long-term neurological fighter study going on. And they've checked me, did every single test possible to check me. And I've actually finally got like a positive diagnosis because we've never really been able to figure out what's going on with me. And but basically, from lighter and lighter hits, I'm getting concussion symptoms, and I lose big chunks of my vision. And my depth perception and ability to think clearly. And Dr. Bernick at the Cleveland Clinic says that, like, listen, I'm listening to all of your symptoms. I've looked all your scans. Your brain looks great. He's like, and I was telling him about my history. And as a kid, I would get migraines all the time. And epilepsy runs in my family. Every generation in my family, someone's had epilepsy. There's some sort of link between epilepsy and migraines. And he was saying that people that get migraines are more susceptible to getting concussions. And the more concussions I get, the easier it is for me to get a migraine. And what he thinks is happening is that I'm not actually getting a concussion every single time that this is happening. He thinks that it's setting off what's called migraine aura, where you just lose big chunks of your vision. And it's called like cortical spreading depression, where I guess like your neurons get overly excited and depolarize and shut down in like a wave. And that's why I lose chunks of my vision when I'm getting hit. And but to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm not dying, I'm not like CTE isn't coming to get me. And there's actually stuff that we can do about it. And but at first we couldn't really find any preventative migraine medication. There's usually stuff to be used after the fact. And just recently we've been able to find something that I can take that's preventative that hopefully, will be able to resolve this issue for me, which is it's life changing. And I mean, of course, I'm going to be going into the fight with the intention of not getting hit once because that's basically what I've had to do my entire career. But thanks to Dana sending me to the Cleveland Clinic, I finally got a positive diagnosis and really know what's going on and have like some actionable knowledge to work off of to
Ronda
solve it.
Rousey joining us. Great. Really quickly, so when you get migraines, I used to get them when I was younger. I still get them sometimes as an adult. When you talk about losing chunks of your vision, do you get wavy lines? I would get these wavy lines and then I couldn't see, and it was usually out of one eye. Is it something like that or something much worse?
It's kind of like when someone takes a picture of you and then like or you like look into the sun, you have a bright light and then you look away from it and then it's still there. And then I'll have it and then it'll like kind of like spread and move around. And then if I can't see, then I get hit again and I get another one and I get hit again and I get another one. And so it's kind of like this. And then that leads to more concussions, right? And
Ronnie,
then
you know what the
that
worst
leads
part
to
is
more
too?
migraines.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my fear always was I just don't want to get them like when I'm on the air, or I don't want to get them in something really important. What you really don't want to get them is during a fight. That's the
Right?
word.
And my
And you
triggers
get
are
them when
this.
you get hit.
Yeah, my triggers are bright lights and head impacts. So I'm like, God damn it. And stress. So, but yeah, we found this one medication that you can take it after the fact to address it, but you can also take it beforehand. You can take like a pill or injections, and so we've been experimenting with that and with sparring, and yeah, we've had some really positive results so
Good,
far. Which it's
good.
like it's been so long since I had hope. I just that was my
You know what it is? You
career
get
ended
sick of
over
being
it.
sick. You get sick of feeling sick. You get sick of feeling sick, and then you feel good, and then you can come back. It's May 16th. It's at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. It's exclusively streaming on Netflix. Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, finally going to have that fight. Ronda, so awesome to see you. So awesome to have
Thank
you.
you.
You are a Jim Rome jungle OG, and I'm glad that you never forgot that because I never have either, man. You're the best. Great to see you, Ronda. Thanks so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, you have a great day. That's the Rhonda that I met, man. When I first met Rhonda, she just had this million-watt mega smile and charisma. That's the Rhonda that I met way, 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 way back in the day. So great to see her like that.